Viakoo is the leader in IoT vulnerability remediation. They implement automated device cyber hygiene at scale to manage firmware, passwords, and certificates, enabling their customers to continuously defend their IoT attack surface at the lowest risk and cost. Today's presenter is John Gallagher, Vice President of Viakoo Labs. Take it away, John.
Thanks for the great intro, Kevin. I'm going to dive into today's subject because we do work with many data center organizations on both their physical security and cybersecurity. And of course, the two are very tightly connected, right? And so what we do for data centers specifically is two things: physical security, service assurance, making sure that your systems are operating exactly as they should. The other thing is we do is cyber hygiene onto those systems, making sure that the passwords, firmware, and certificates that are installed are managed properly and are coordinated with the applications that are running. But the two are tightly connected, right? A physical breach of a data center directly leads to a cyber breach or exploit to take place. And that's really a proven path because, again, think of your own infrastructure. If there was physical access with exposed USB ports and other the nature of things, your cyber security posture is diminished greatly. So at Viakoo, we make sure that both the service assurance of your physical security systems, how they operate and run, and the cybersecurity of your systems are handled through automation. The other thing which we're really doing for organizations beyond that is things such as compliance, right? Giving you inventory reports, keeping current records of what's happened and who's made changes. Span of control, helping organizations to run a global operation from a central point of access, and making sure that you're cost effective in using your security resources as effectively as you can. Now, how we approach this is, we're really using automation to take the most difficult and most time-consuming parts of your job and really reduce them down to zero, right? So if you think of a typical physical security problem, the customer finds it, right? Then they call their integrator, they roll a truck. There's a manual troubleshooting process that happens. And you finally get to a root cause diagnosis of the system. That's about 80% of the time and cost involved. The 20% doing the repair still has to be done. But through our automation, we're taking that 80% and shrinking it down virtually to zero, saving cost, saving time, and most importantly, ensuring that your systems are working exactly as they should. Another nice benefit is that 74% of the time we found you can avoid the truck roll, and that both saves time, money, CO2 emissions. It's really part of an organization's sustainability effort to use Viakoo to help reduce those truck rolls. So regardless of what your goal is, by applying automation, you're taking time, money, CO2, everything out of the equation and being able to use those resources better. The other thing which we're going to highlight in terms of helping to make an efficient operation is managing the large number of devices, the large number of applications coordinated with them. So we will do a detailed inventory for you and look at things such as end of life, end of warranty, end of support dates. And we'll also look at CVE scores, how many devices have vulnerabilities and how severe are they. And those things we automatically bring into your dashboard. You can report out on them. And it's a really good way to work with teams like procurement and your cyber team to make sure that your devices are kept not just functional through their effective life, but also that they're kept cyber secure. Now, another thing which I'll broaden the argument to is the devices we're talking about, physical security systems like video surveillance and access control, they're forms of IoT. And the way that Viakoo approaches the IoT problem in general is that we really look at the world as almost two different food groups, right? One is loosely coupled devices, things like a Fitbit or a consumer device. But in the enterprise, the most dominant model is what we would call tightly coupled, which is the IoT devices are working together in concert with an application, or even with applications plural. And so what Viakoo does is we'll do a application context discovery. We will look at the applications and interrogate them and look at what they're connected to, how they're connected, what protocols, what ports, and so forth. And by analyzing and understanding that tightly coupled relationship, we can do things like cyber hygiene, where we will update the password in the device, but then we'll also update the password into the application running it. Or we'll check to make sure that the model used, for example, the firmware, is compatible with the VMS software version that's in use. So that all happens in a very straightforward way, right? To deploy Viakoo really takes a few minutes. We're agentless. That's really the key point here. We don't ever require you to put agents or software code onto devices. That would be an endless task. Instead, we take an agentless approach where we have a little bit of code we call actors that sit on or near the application servers. From that point forward, everything's automated, right? We're collecting and sending metadata. We're applying a reasoning engine, which is really an AI-driven capability with machine learning functions. And we've proven this model across over 2 billion hours of production usage with our customers. We're integrated with all of the major discovery engines that are out there, which also tend to be agentless because of the IoT function. And it gives us a platform for future development, especially around AI and machine learning. And through this, it's a very complete and holistic system for not just managing and monitoring systems, but actually gaining all of the compliance information and other data that you need. So really, in summary, you've got a fundamental choice running a data center operation. We would argue the right-hand side is where you're going to find the most benefit, right? Using automation means that you can be fast and on top of changes, remediation, and repatriation of all your devices. You'll be compliance driven, you'll be scalable, you can address other IoT systems beyond physical security, and it's all in a format that's auditable. And we've been proven through actually some of our data center customers, our output can be used for PCI compliance, SOC 2 compliance, many of the other things that your team is tasked with, including cyber insurance. So with that, I look forward to questions during the Q&A, and I'll hand it back to you, Kevin. Thanks again.